in the chat because we really want to engage with you as well. We are constantly eyeing that YouTube page to make sure that should you put anything, it is going to be responded to immediately. Second panel of the day, protecting information integrity in the age of artificial intelligence. Promoting information integrity in the age of artificial intelligence. And of course, to lead this panel this afternoon is none other. A hand of applause to Mr. Zephania Reuben, co-founder of Camel Labs. Makofi kwake tafadhali. Makofi alikuwa hajashiba ya kutosha. Like the claps were very stingy. Let's try that again. Mr. Zephania Reuben. Yes. Karibu sana.
Yeah, so it looks like makofi amechekechwa here. Yeah. Thank you so much for this nice opportunity. Yeah, so since everyone had an access to generating content, and that might be video, audio, or text, like everyone now has a power to do whatever with that content. And from that advancement, we are facing some few ethical challenges. And those ethical challenges range from deepfakes to AI-generated either misinformation or disinformation. And in the world where currently seeing or hearing is no longer believing, it is becoming very important to talk about how we can protect information integrity in this age. And since the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022, we have seen how AI is capable of automating very simple tasks to very complex ones. And we are here to talk about how we can maintain the integrity of data where everyone has access to tools that he or she might use to generate whatever he or she wants. My name is Zephania Reuben. I'm a co-founder of Camel Labs and Log AI, but also I'm a machine learning or machine intelligence specialist. And in our panel today, I'm joined with very brilliant minds here. So I'm going to call them, welcome Desmond, Mushi. He's a public, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. He's a public police officer at Meta, and we are very humbled to have you here. Next one, I'm going to call Lilian Madeje. Welcome. Yeah, she is a founder of Niajiri platform, and thank you for joining us here. Also, we have Kingamkono, and he is a founder of Tunzaa Fintech, but also a CEO of Tunzaa. Welcome, brother. And lastly, we have our beautiful lady, Esther Mengi. Welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Esther is a founder of Serensic Africa. Thank you so much. So you're welcome, and we are all happy to have here to have this conversation and see how the current advancement of technology is going either to impact or to be on the advantageous side in protecting information integrity. So I welcome every one of you to introduce, tell us what you do and how what you're doing aligns with our topic today. Welcome. So Desmond, you can start and then we come this way. Yeah.
Hi and good afternoon. As introduced, I'm Desmond Mushi. I'm a public policy manager at Meta, and Meta is a company that was formerly known as Facebook. And so it's the company that owns Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, as well as Threads. And my role as a public policy manager is really to interface between the company and our stakeholders, such as yourselves here on the ground. We cover Eastern Horn of Africa region, so that's East African countries as you know them, but for countries like Burundi, we don't cover Burundi, as well as countries like Ethiopia, Somalia is within EAC, Eritrea, and Comoros. Beyond that, I lead our work at public policy in Africa, Middle East, and Turkey on fraud and scam. So the remarks by His Excellency the Minister were quite pertinent for me. Regarding the discussion today, I think I'll do three things. One, just to share, I think we had an earlier discussion on the trajectory that technology has taken over time. I want to think about it from a different lens. The first is just the devices that we have. I think in the past, in the 1950s, when you wanted to interact with a computer, you had to go into, it was called mainframe computing. You had to go to a space where you interacted with it. I think 20 years later, we had, computers that were desktops. So you still had to go to a place to interact with a computer. I think in the early 1990s, so 1995, we had portable computers, so laptops. But that's not everywhere in the world, I think mostly for the advanced economies. So we had laptops. And in mid-2000s, we moved from laptops to phones. And so we've moved from a space where you had to go to a place to interact with technology to a place where you can move. So, technology has become mobile. When you think about content and consumption of content from that particular matter, in the past, it was almost like a one-to-many experience. We went to a place where maybe it was Wikipedia, and Wikipedia, we all were reading the same thing. Now, in the age of social media, we all can interact. You are as much as content creator as you are a consumer. You can interact with whatever I'm sharing almost in real time. Not just the kind of content, or not just how we interact with content. So now everyone is a content creator. Like we were saying, everyone is a media house. There's some personalities in Tanzania that are probably more popular than the media houses they work for. On the other end is the kind of content that we interact with. So in the past, it was mostly text, which maybe is easier to digest and things like that. But now a lot of content predominantly is consumed in short videos, your audio video, that is maybe shorts for Google or YouTube, or reels for meta platforms such as Instagram. And so you see there's a change, not just in devices and how close we are with devices, there's a change in who is producing content and how and when. There's also a change in the kind of content that we consume. The one thing that is true is that technology has become more immersive. And even as we think about emerging technologies, so augmented and virtual reality, we're thinking about more immersive forms of technology that we can engage with in much, much deeper levels. So I just wanted to make that context clear to show you, as I think Philip from Vodacom said, technology is here. We need to figure out how to take advantage of it, but at the same time reduce some of the harm that might come from it. And so that context is really, really important. From Meta's perspective, I feel like this discussion is important because a lot of the work that we do is an intersection between allowing free speech and at the same time protecting from harm that might come from content that actors, whether willingly or unwillingly, or maybe knowing or unknowingly, are sharing with others on our platforms. And so for that particular matter, maybe the one thing that I would say is that we are here for two reasons. One, to share our experiences and perspectives, but two, even more importantly, is to learn. And I'll say learning because I think one of the things that we're planning to do this year, and to the discussion or panel that we had earlier, is to figure out how can we better capacitate and improve the number of local fact checkers. So some of the insights and discussions that are ongoing here are actually important for us to ensure that we have a better understanding of the nuances and challenges in Tanzania and can better work with stakeholders in Tanzania to try and address them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Desmond. That was very insightful. Yeah, so let's use not less than 2 minutes to introduce ourselves and talk about what we are doing, but also how it aligns with what we are to discuss here. Welcome, Lilian.
Okay, thank you so much. So at Niajiri platform, I think 8 years ago when we were starting, we were looking at providing a tool that will serve employers in making their recruitment much more easier. But what we've grown into right now is a 47,000 user database. We have about 7,000 or 8,000 who are active in a monthly engaging with different activities. So anything from access to tools and resources, self-assessments, which essentially, as they're doing all of this engagement, is what now helps us in doing the smart hiring at the end of the day. So I guess my thing is garbage in equals to garbage out, right? When we're talking about AI, we're talking about, computers being feeding it information so that it actually is able to do predictions, etc. So from the perspective of the discussion of today's discussion, I think some of the things that I'll be looking into is, there was a touch in terms of policies right now. As a data processor and a data controller, we are supposed to align with the Personal Data Protection Commission. So what are the, things that we're supposed to be responsible for as that asset bearer or holder of all of this information? We're talking about 47,000 and growing. But also much more important around that is, the different avenues of actually being able to be part of the bigger feeding of information. And we're talking about here, if you look at Africa, there is still so much that needs to happen in terms of feeding, whether it's AI, in terms of it speaking back to us. That's why you have Siri, not necessarily saying Kariako, but like how are we actually able to feed into that. So specifically in our space, which is workforce tech, how are we've been able to build a CV builder. We could have integrated with a CV builder that is available in India, but we were like, okay, we're going to actually make sure that our CVs, vijana wetu wa Kitanzania, tunajenga kwa sababu hii ni content ya Kitanzania na essentially Africa. So we'll basically be talking from that particular aspect, like the content that is generated and how are we actually protecting the users that are putting in the information.
Thank you so much. I like the fact about localization of technology. Thank you so much, Lilian. Yeah. Welcome, Minula.
Hey, hi. It rhymes with AI, that's why. I'm Kingamkono. I'm the founder and CEO at Tunzaa Fintech. And the reason I started Tunzaa is because I'm really interested in human habits, like why we do the things we do. And one of the things that we are trying to achieve with Tunzaa is to help everyday Africans improve their financial habits through technology. And therefore, AI plays a major role. We are testing some AI features already on Tunzaa right now. So I'm excited to be here and looking forward to speak and learn.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minula. Welcome, Esther.
Hi, everyone. My name is Esther Mengi. I'm the founder and CEO of Serensic Africa. Serensic Africa is a cybersecurity company that has been around for over a decade. So I'm pretty excited to be here because now in the era of AI, everybody is concerned about their security. Yeah, everybody's like, okay, are we safe? Is it going to take away our jobs? So people are like, oh, Esther, what does it mean? Are we really safe? Before when we started, and I would tell people, oh, we do cybersecurity. Oh no, this one is dreaming. We don't even use it here in our local context. So I am more than honored to be in front of you with all the knowledgeable panelists and engage with you on matters of AI and AI safety, as well as data integrity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think it's very exciting seeing from Desmond, Lilian, Minula, and Esther, you're all building stuffs which are aligning with specifically some key components of artificial intelligence. So I just want us to talk a bit about how AI is impacting information integrity, specifically in our country, and how can we safeguard our information. And I believe by asking that question, every one of us, at some point, we are either interacting with either customer information or anything related to that, but I just want us to share insight on that, like how AI is impacting information integrity in our country, and what can we do to safeguard that. Thank you. So anyone can start, actually? Yeah. Yeah, you can start.
So in the era where content is generated through AI, we can generate photos, text, and so on, so can people generate cyber threats. Now you can go to ChatGPT and prompt it to actually create an attack for you. You don't have to be a hacker or a cyber guru for you to do that, yeah? So people have access and the knowledge on how to create viruses, to create commands that can cause disruption, yeah? So with that, it comes the risk of AI-generated threats and AI-generated cyber attacks. So with that, we need to have tools that are ready and able to detect AI-generated attacks, because we're in this world now, yeah? So what we have done in that space is, with our company, Serensic Africa, we have a tool called Askari. Askari is an AI-enabled threat intelligence platform that helps to detect threats and stop them. All AI-enabled threats. So we're still building, we'll keep on building, but as a way to fight and stay safe in this world currently, we need tools as such, tools that are able to detect AI-generated threats and tools that are able to protect our organizations from the threats that comes from AI. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Esther, for that insight. Okay. Yeah, so welcome, Minula.
I've heard this phrase so many times that data, however you say it, is the new oil. So what does that make AI? And I'd like to because the issue is information integrity. So I'd like to take it, a little bit back. I just said I'm into human habits and therefore anthropology. And when you look throughout history, how humans behave with new information, new technology, not so much has changed. We still like to alter things. We still like to add on some information. We still like to make some edits and call them improvements, however you say it. And so when you look at the role of AI in a society like Tanzania, it's going to simply amplify what's already here. And that's very important to understand, which means, so if there are people who are doing fraud, they will simply amplify what they're already doing. Yeah. If there are people who are, in cybersecurity like Esther, they will use this tool that way. And so my concern is to the normal mwananchi, yeah, like not even the techies. Are we aware of how much AI, first of all, I know so many people are talking about it recently, the past 2 years, but it's like for researchers and everything, AI has been around for a while, and so somehow you already consumed it, whether you know it or you didn't know it. And so my question is to a normal mwananchi, if we are looking at data as something that is valuable, so how are you using AI from your point of view? Because yes, things are already changing. Yes, people are taking advantage of this, but the question is, what are you doing with this tool? And so in a society like Tanzania, where tech sometimes takes like 7 years to arrive, so we're like, when I'm speaking about in marginalized societies, not you Dar es Salaam people with your fancy English and everything. I'm talking about to someone in the village that, a farmer who is using mobile money service to buy something, to spend money on this. And if there are people who are doing fraud, it will simply be to a level that it will take a while for them to understand if this is somebody is committing a fraud right now. And so my call is, again, back to history and societies, is just to be vigilant. Like you just have to step forward and take advantage of this. Yes, we have access to internet, but for me, more dialogue. Like for a normal mwananchi, speak to them about AI. like in a sense that they understand that this is already changing how I live. This is already changing my future job opportunities. And so therefore, how do you protect a mwananchi in this time? And this is not going to go back. It's going to be like farther and farther. We have seen in the past year how much development has been there, from like AI not being able to figure hands to now making videos and all these kind of things. So how do we get this type of knowledge back to a mwananchi so that they understand that this is already changing everything? So yeah.
Thank you so much, Minula. So Lilian, as Minula said, one of the features of humans is to fabricate things. And so what should we do, like, to protect information integrity in our context? Yeah.
It's back on.
Yeah.
It's on. So I think taking it off in terms of what should we do, I would just like to pick it up. What Winula has pointed out is the reality. There is, I think Asha did note that there is, and also Brian, there is penetration, but then when you talk about internet, and then there comes the usage. So from the perspective of Nigerian, I'd just like to talk about the data from what we're seeing. We're having youth, because more than 80% of our users are actually graduated within the last 5 years. We're a very basic platform, but somebody will be uploading something while there is very clear information that it should be a kilobyte, X kilobyte, and somebody's uploading something that is like gigabytes, etc. Someone is not able to figure out their password. They've done their password and now they're doing the forget password, but they'll give you a call and you have to do those basic things. When it comes to doing skills assessment and you're doing an aptitude assessment, and you have to give them a step hand holding. And why am I talking about that? Because we will talk about AI, and that is the reality, and we need to talk about AI because we need to make sure that we are actually, coming back, we are taking part actively in making sure that there is our voices there, not just as Tanzanians, but also as Africans. But there is a stark reality that the normal mwananchi, we have to break down what AI is. And so for what we're doing at Niajiri is starting to look at how do we look for partners, and this is a call for collaboration. Partners who are doing AI for current workforce, AI for future workforce, because we need to make sure that our youth who are entering into the marketplace are able to actually deliver based on what is needed in the marketplace. And then also being able to demystify what is AI. And we've started doing things like that because simply, so some of the courses that we're running right now in some of the universities is when we're talking about AI for CV Builder, like teaching them the different tools, but how to use them accordingly in making your CV, and making your CV, so that you don't have to do it every time, but putting in the job description for this particular thing so that you can actually make your CV much more easier. So like starting to demystify what is AI, how can you actually apply AI to your normal day-to-day activities, and you're starting to see people actually using some of this. There's a group that I'm in, and they've created this AI song. But they fed it in some information and it created this whole nice, interesting song. So like, how do we demystify to actually use these tools on a day-to-day? But there is a need to actually also educate. That is the reality.
Thank you so much, Lilian. Welcome, Desmond. I know like the huge number of Tanzanians, specifically in towns, use social media platforms, and that's your area. I think you can talk about it very well. So how do we make sure possibly the information maybe people are consuming in social media are protected from what we think AI might cause or is causing currently? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. One, and I think this has been said, AI has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Meta or Facebook was started in 2004. We started using artificial intelligence in 2007. And most of us have interacted with artificial intelligence whether or not we know it. So it's what allows us to determine what it is you are more likely to like and engage with. It allows us to rank, so contents you see from your friends, suggest friends that would be people that you want to engage with. It's what allowed an Olympic medalist to find her coach, I think from the Caribbeans. We use it also on content moderation. So one of the things that most of us probably, we are concerned about AI, and there's very good reasons to be. But one of the things that you probably might not know is that there's a lot of bad content that is filtered before it comes to people's eye through algorithms, through AI. A good example is that I think there's been an improvement in how we can detect and remove hate speech on our platforms by almost over 50%. And so now we are around 0.02%. So for every 1,000 contents that are out there, only 2 are hate speech. And we are able to get to that level because of algorithms, because of the data that we have, training the algorithms to be able to detect and remove. So that's one side. So AI is really, really good for content moderation. I think the other side that is a very, very important discussion is because this technology is quite new in some parts of the world, in most parts of the world, to be quite honest, there's very, very good reasons to be concerned about it. There's bad actors that are using algorithms, and I think examples have been given, to share either content that is aimed at defrauding others, or hate speech, or videos or audio visuals that are aimed at almost manipulating a community. And so that is a concern. What we are doing from Meta's perspective, I'll share 2 things. What we are doing from Meta's perspective and what I think would be great for us to do as an ecosystem in Tanzania. From Meta's perspective, the most important thing that we think can be done is watermarking. So it's being able to tell you that this content has been developed through the use of algorithms, so through the use of AI. So if now you are to use Meta AI, and I currently use it, and you are to, get an image, I've done it even on my WhatsApp channel, an image of a cow, a very beautiful cow, and share it, it will come with a watermark that says this has been generated through AI. So that is one area. So it's watermarking, it's sharing that this content has been developed through this means. The issue we are having is because there's a lot of people that have open sourced their technologies, and we believe that's the right path to take all over the world, that aren't necessarily using the same mechanism to either watermark or watermarking consistently. So some people might do it, others are not doing it, and so what we're doing as a tech community is to almost come up with an agreed, consistent guideline on how to watermark. How you innovate, how you watermark, so that then others can be able to tell you that this content, whether it's a YouTube thing that is on WhatsApp, or something that was developed by Meta AI that is on another platform, so that can be consistent. What I think we need to get to a level of doing, and I'll say this because I think from our research we've learned that in Tanzania, there's demarcations between urban settings and more rural or peri-urban areas in the trust that people have on social media platforms. So there's a lot more trust in peri-urban areas than probably in urban areas, but also in the trust that people have on mass media versus social media. And so I see an opportunity, for example, from Jacqueline, who was here, seated right here on the first panel, you're working from Bear Highlands FM, to work with us to even educate the public about responsible use of social media platforms. I think the one thing that we often misunderstand is the intention with which I share what it is that I see. If I'm sharing something with Zephania, sometimes it's because I want him to be aware, but I might be misinforming. So the intention is not always to be harmful. And so how do you address that level of intention is by creating more awareness. How do you create awareness? Of course, we are doing, we've run campaigns on our platforms and things like that. But to complement that, and especially for the Tanzanian society, and in my opinion, in peri-urban and in rural setups, we really need to work very closely with mass media, which is a platform and framework that is also more contextual. So more regional or subnational mass medias that are more trusted in those areas, I think would go a long way to allow people to understand the opportunities, to understand what is AI-generated content, what could be harmful and how, and things like that. So AI has been around for a while. It's very, very useful in content moderation, so much so that most people realize. I think and for us, from Meta's perspective, we take down content that should be taken down irrespective of how that content was generated. So if it's hate speech generated through algorithms, it will be taken down. So we enforce on the impact of the content, not the mechanism through which that content was generated or who was shared it. And the last bit that I would say is that we need the collaboration between both social media or tech companies and, ecosystem holders, and especially, subnational radio stations or mass media stations around the country.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And starting there where you ended, we have heard from Jacqueline, as you mentioned, they have been doing some programs actually to for awareness, and as you proposed, awareness for responsible use of social media. But we have heard also from Brian, as he was sharing about how people in rural areas specifically are using either social media, or where do they consume the most. So my question here is, but also we heard from Asha about media literacy, but also digital literacy. So I just want to discuss and see how AI can support these underserved, underserved communities, either to access more real information possibly, or they can consume what is actually either someone from the sources is consuming. How can we ensure they are consuming what is real content, I guess say?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think a very, very good question. I feel like for media houses, oftentimes they are both, depending on the context, victims and perpetrators. And sometimes, knowingly or unknowingly. And that's a very difficult place to be. The work that NUCTA does is really, really important, because then it allows us to understand that if someone is doing this, then they're doing it as perpetrators, knowingly. And so clickbaits and things like that are things that because people are profit motivated, they earn revenue from the amount of clicks that they get on their platforms. I think it skews the intentions and actions that they are able to take. I'm more concerned, frankly, on those that do it without knowledge and the impact that it has on various communities. So something like misinformation could be benign. So if, for example, I gave an example, this example in Arusha yesterday, if you say Desmond is not in Dar es Salaam today, that is misinformation, because I'm clearly in Dar es Salaam. But is it harmful? I am not sure. But there is some kind of misinformation that can be harmful. In Tanzania, for example, in regions like Morogoro, if you say, a certain number of cattle have invaded a particular farmer's area and eaten all the crops, that is, if it's misinforming, it could be harmful, because lives could be lost. And so we demarcate between the two, and the likelihood that something like that will be shared and addressed. So for me, I would prioritize misinformation that could potentially be harmful as things that we have to address. Not that other misinformation is not, but as a priority, that is something that ought to be prioritized. What needs to be done, I think the work that NUCTA is doing is really, really important. The work that Media Convergence is doing is really, really important for us, I think, and we've partnered with Media Convergence in the past, especially working with CSOs and NGOs, but we think we need to broaden that scope. In the coming year, so 2025, because we're going into election, we'll do two things. The first is we'll have a setup, especially around first quarter, so around February, to just sit with stakeholders, and these are from CSOs to media houses to government and others, to understand the landscape. What is the situation like in Tanzania, both from a platform integrity perspective, so issues around hate speech, violence and incitement, bullying and harassment, especially for women public figures and things like that. Who's the perpetrator, who's the victim, what medium are they using, what platform is it prevalent in, and what needs to be done. Then we'll go back internally as Meta to try and dissect that information and develop programs or platforms or product interventions to address those issues. So we'll come and report around June that these are some of the ways in which we've improved on our products. So now, for example, I'll give you an example. Tanzania once complained, especially CSOs, that there's a lot of bullying and harassment for public figure beyond their roles. So you can question someone's capability. So if you are a minister of ICT, if we don't think the backbone charges are fair, we can question that. But there's questions around someone's sexual capabilities, their families, immediate and things like that. Those who are beyond what the intention of allowing public figures to be questioned about. And so we we reviewed that policy, and now there's greater protection for public figures than used to be before. And this started from Tanzania. So sometimes when you say Meta is somewhere in MPK, you need to remember that there's a lot of policy guidelines that guide what stays or doesn't stay on our platforms that can be initiated here. And so this particular policy, especially the amendment on bullying and harassment, started from Tanzania. So for me, the point that I think is important is, for us, it's learning, continue to learn. I think creating moments where we pause as an ecosystem, we dissect what it is that we are learning, then we come back and say as a platform. And I think for this to be great, my suggestion is that, when you do this, we should do it with other tech players as well. So, whether it's Google and slash YouTube, whether it's X or BitBite and others, so that we can actually have, because I think the challenge that we are getting now, especially with misinformation, is the multi-platform risk. So something starting from, say, YouTube and now being shared on WhatsApp. And so addressing that becomes something that only an ecosystem can do, not one player. I think there's a very good example on fraud and scam from Vodacom. I think we've seen that, most of us have seen or interacted with that voice note on WhatsApp. But it's something that touches on M-Pesa. So Vodacom alone can't do it. They need to also work with Meta. So the thing that I want us to understand is that for us to understand these issues as an ecosystem, but also to develop mechanisms to address them as an ecosystem, as opposed to, single platforms, independently.
Thank you so much, Desmond. Thank you so much. So this one goes to Winula. As we know, you are dealing with fintech ecosystem, and we can agree, currently, possibly, I don't have actual percent of how many transactions are being are cashless, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think, or what are you doing to make sure that the transactions which are happening maybe online are secure possibly, but also what are you doing to make sure maybe the underserved community understand and trust these systems so that they can either process their monetary issues on the platforms? Thank you.
Can I address what
you can do that, yeah.
As a precautionary, any tool can be, a double-edged sword, as much as there's this control of what type of content should people see or should people not see. It's very important also to use technology to help people search for the truth themselves. Because how do I mean it? He just mentioned about, Desmond just mentioned about the coming general elections, and I can't stop thinking about our grandmothers and our aunties who are on WhatsApp now actively using it. And as much as there's content moderation on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, but when it comes to dark social media, when I have to send these videos and pictures in group chats, then this is something entirely different. And all I'm thinking about is maybe it will happen. Somebody will generate an AI video. It could be watermarked, could not be watermarked. I don't know yet. We'll see. And this will be shared in a WhatsApp group. And I can't imagine how fast this will start to travel. So it's also very important to remember this part where it's a conversation between me and my auntie, me and my grandmother in the family groups. And this is where things are going to get really, really interesting. So yes, I just wanted to add on top of that. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that worries me sometimes. So back to your question. Well, again, AI, I look at it as a tool. What you do with it is what is going to define your, not necessarily your intentions, but even the vision as a company. So I mentioned that we are already trying out AI tools, but before I speak about that, just want to mention that internally, we encourage the use of AI to, the team, use AI, don't send out an email, just send it to Chatty and let it make some improvements. before you, before you ask me a question, if you try to ask Chatty like this question and what are the answers, like I really encourage that, like, because again, it's a tool. Yeah, like a knife, you can cut a mango, you can hurt somebody. So we try as much to have this conversation. So it starts with our team. If they are comfortable internally to use AI, but I also have a problem with that because now I feel like somebody's writing an email with ChatGPT, and then the answers from ChatGPT, and you're like, oh, okay.
There is no any human being communication there.
Yes, yeah. And we see this already, that this is why I wanted to start with this bit, because we see that how people are using AI, like to simply prepare like documents, to prepare artworks or like posters and everything. And so this could be reflected when we start to use AI as a tool to automate, like, like to check if there's fraud. We help people, for those who are not familiar with Tunzaa, we help people purchase products by paying in installments in advance. So you sort of like save now and buy later, not on credit. So we use AI already to recommend some of the products. And one of the things that I keep thinking about, okay, currently this is how we use it, but you don't know in the future I might not be there in the company. And what worries me, the companies or the tech companies, to be specific, the ones that are building these tools, at which point do you tell yourself like, okay, this is too much? And, and this is very important to discuss. Like, okay, like, yes, you're moderating content, you're filtering what they should see based on what they're doing on the app, but at which point you decide, okay, this is too much manipulation, of forced decision making, and if we don't discuss that, we will end up on these platforms consuming them, of better word, like zombies. Yeah. and this worries me. But also on the other side, I'm looking at it as something that is very useful. We have onboarded over 100,000 users already, and that means these are like 100,000 people who are doing different activities, and this could multiply to like 1 million activities. So again, we are using AI to like start to detect fraud, a potential fraud. Like, okay, this transaction is like
a genuine one.
Yes, take a look at this transaction, this kind of thing. So on the other side, it's a beautiful tool. We need it. And on the other side, I'm like, be careful, like not too much. You know what I mean?
So much.
Yes.
So I saw Desmond, you had something to add, but I think I'll come to you. Let me ask Lilian a question. So as we have heard from Winuka, like he is encouraging the team to use AI either in drafting emails, but also either in creating artworks and all that. So I'm a graduate, and let's say I'm preparing my CV, and I want to either send it to Niajiri platform so that either they can share to their client, and then you found it has been generated either using AI. So the first question is, what are you doing internally to make sure like the platform you're building, they protect this information integrity by either avoiding and bias the details, or some people might include informations which are not relevant actually in their CVs and everything. So that's the first, like what are you doing to approach that? But again, are you comfortable saying my CV is AI generated? So you can talk about that too. Yeah.
Okay, so am I comfortable seeing your CV AI generated? I am, because I've also built a system to actually make sure it works. So I think back to what...
Sorry, like you're comfortable because also you're going to use AI to...
Yeah, to check it. But
to check it.
As Winola said, like AI is a tool,
Yeah.
and it depends literally in terms of how you use it. Because using it to enhance... So we say you actually make your CV when you're taking the case study of somebody who's graduated. You build your CV while you're in school, right? This is, you've done different activities, associations, you're a club member. That is you building the CV. And then you come and compile your CV when you've graduated, when you're looking for the job opportunity. So definitely, AI CV Builder will help enhance your capability and make you sound all the more flowery than you need to be, which is good. But the thing is the content. That is where it comes. And then that then takes me to even down to, in terms of the information integrity of this person who is in the system, right? So for us, we say it is just, it's more than the CV, right? It's also, we've done a skill assessment on you and we understand who you are. We have given you an interaction of a certain course, so we kind of like know, okay, to the best of our abilities. Again, you could also, anytime you're building this thing, we were doing a skills, there's a new skill assessment we're putting in, and we're like, okay, but what if somebody decides to open different tabs and they're actually checking this? Again, we're talking about people that will always try to outthink what you're doing at any one point in time. So there's many cases that somebody can try to outsmart, but at the end of the day, AI is here. It's not going to go away. There's been conversations right now, if you're going back to universities, in terms of, it is a known fact that people, when they're doing their last thesis, you were having other people. It was a job opportunity for some students to write thesis for other students. But right now, it's called Chatty. Chatty right now is doing really well because he has started a new job opportunity whereby he's writing all of these theses. But now the universities have to go the next step of having AI-checked thesis generated, because that is the reality. AI is meant to help you enhance, even when you're making your presentation. I don't know to lie. I will ask AI. I am going to a panel. This is what is happening. But I will also add my own experiences, and I'll take those pointers. So, and that is where, what are some of the jobs that are coming? You being able to prompt the right questions. These are the skill sets that we need to start teaching and understanding. Because again, we cannot run away from this thing. You remember Y2K? You remember the Y2K? We thought we were going to die. It was, like 0, everything is going down. So we cannot run away from it. It is here to stay. It is about how do we actually empower each other? How do we actually demystify? Again, the thing is, I'm talking about demystifying. How do we make it relevant to the normal person, normal mwananchi? Kwamba hii AI asione kwamba ni kitu kile kinakuja, yani kwa sababu guys, wala ambao mna miaka ya kutosha, Y2K mnakumbukaga. Yani watu tulikuwa nadhani kila kitu kinaisha. Alafu nikiangalia hivi ninavyosema Y2K na watu mtu ambaye anaelewa ni nini, but it's fine. It was the time when we were 000 ile 2000 tulidhani kila kitu inaisha. But yeah, so like anything that comes in terms of technology, it is about how do we prepare the community, how do we prepare the society to take on these technologies, and we cannot run away from them. And this is where our coming skills and being able to, like, you cannot close. If we close ourselves, you cannot be an island in this day and age. You need to open yourselves, but you need to give them the right tools and resources to understand how to use these tools.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Esther, as what Lilian shared, it's very difficult or nearly impossible to stop what is happening. Like, we can't stop technology. So can you share a bit of what is happening, or what are the challenges currently either companies or organizations are facing in the evolving context of cybersecurity, either like cyber threats, like they are becoming more complex and AI enhanced this. So what are the challenges are they facing, and possibly what they can do, what can they do to overcome them?
Thank you. I had like something was itching on my throat.
Okay.
I wanted to comment when Lilian was talking.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to comment on Lilian's topic, and I'm going to go to the serious stuff, because the serious stuff is usually very, very boring. So I was talking to someone the other day, and they're saying, in future, there are going to be two kinds of people: those who are good with AI and those who are not good with AI. So you have to pick a side, yeah? So for me, I feel like if I can prompt Chatty to summarize something for me that could have taken me a month or two to get the knowledge, why not? Yeah? So I don't have to read like a book or 3 books for I don't know how many days or months. I can get the knowledge that I needed in real time and then use that information to make a decision. How awesome is that? Yeah? So with time, as we go on, there have to be like two people, basically. It's either you use AI or you don't. And those who use AI are going to be quicker, faster, more analytical compared to those who don't. So we shouldn't shy away from it. We should embrace it and make sure that we go with how the world goes. As long as it's beneficial and not harming anyone, well, why not? So I remember the other day we were creating a system at the office. So I was telling the developers, I should do this and that and that. So usually I tell them and then they go and prepare like a prototype and bring to me. So the other day I just prompted Chatty. So I created the source code, like the views, like this is how I want to look like. And inside, this is how the folders should look like. So I saw them looking at me funny, like, okay, now you're doing our jobs for us. But that's how it has gotten us to, where it has gotten us to. So back to the question, yeah, the serious part. So how do we use, how is cybersecurity now in the modern AI era? What are the challenges that organizations face? One of the biggest challenges is awareness, cybersecurity awareness, yeah? People are not aware of what it means, what cybersecurity means, and then undervalue its importance until they get attacked, and then they say, okay, how do we recover from this one, yeah? So it's usually not an active, a proactive thing, it's usually reactive. So when you're thinking of, you know, with cybersecurity or cyber attacks, someone can be in Japan and attack an organization that is in Tanzania, yeah? You don't have to be in the same geographical area. So we are seeing more of attacks happening in the world because of AI. And then if I look at our organizations here, I'm like, we're not really prepared. Because we did some incident response, I won't mention the client's name because it's confidential, but it's one of the big companies here in Tanzania. So when we went there, they had ransomware attack. So what is a ransomware attack? Is where the attackers shut down your system and demand you pay ransom, like you pay some money like in Bitcoins and then they open the systems for you. So that organization, all their files were encrypted and the attacker wanted some money. So mind you, this is a giant organization, all their systems from payroll to procurement, everything. So at that, for 3 days, they could not travel, like everything was locked. And I would think to myself, okay, this is a big organization. How did this happen? Okay, it could happen, but they were not prepared. So the first thing I asked them was, okay, this has happened. It's fine. We could erase everything. Do you have backup? Like, no, we do not have backup. You understand, yeah? So they are not aware, not even prepared that, okay, this thing can happen. We need to have backups, yeah? So I'm like, okay, and then you go to other departments, they're like, yeah, we had a backup, but the backup was inside that server that was, you know, backing up in the same place. I was like, oh, wow. So there's lack of security awareness, yeah? People are not conscious, are not taking the initiative to be secure until they get attacked, and then they work in reverse, yeah? They become more reactive rather than proactive. So another challenge that we have seen is lack of collaboration and information sharing. So let's say I'm Bank X and I've been hit today. I'll keep quiet. So you know with hackers, they have a tendency of like doing the same thing to similar organizations, yeah? So Bank X get hit today, the same kind of attack. Bank Z gets hit tomorrow, the same kind of attack. Why? Because people do not share. People do not collaborate, people do not share information, so it becomes easier for such attacks to happen. So what needs to be done is there have to be a way where we can share that, you know what, with just the inner circle, because I know it could be tricky if I hear my bank was hit today and hacker took some money, I would probably remove my money from that bank, yeah? So I understand why, but they should be able to share with the inner circle so that to avoid the same kind of attack not to happen to isiendelee. Yani mtu aliyopigwa leo, mtu mwingine asipigwe tena, and then we are all protected. So another challenge, which will be the last, is people don't value cybersecurity investment. It's not a priority in most Tanzanian organizations. Why? I would understand, because most cybersecurity solutions are very expensive. We talk about Sophos, Darknet, and all these big names. They are like thousands, $100,000s of dollars. So normal mwananchi, you'll be thinking, I have my small business, why would I pay so much for security? So then there's lack of investment because of that. So as a solution for us as Serensic, we have come up with a tool that is similar to the big names, but cheaper for the marginalized communities, like the NGOs and the small business owners, whereby people can secure themselves at a very affordable price so that it becomes accessible to everybody. So I think I've answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Desmond had something to add, I think, on what I was saying. I don't know if you still remember it, but adding from what you're going to share, you have talked about how Meta is working on freedom of speech, but you also different techniques, I can say, all policies which are being deployed to ensure information is protected, such as watermarking. So I'm not sure if in most of the platforms they are currently watermarking the texty contents. So what do you think or believe are the either best policies that should be employed or deployed to protect information integrity, but also freedom of speech, specifically in the context of Tanzania, considering the fact that either we are going to a period of elections and stuff like that. So what do you think about that?
Okay, I think one, just to respond to some of the comments, you can report content that violates Meta's community standards that is shared on WhatsApp. So that's the one thing that most people do not know, but you can report content that you think is in violation of our community standards, whether or not it's shared between friends or within groups. So that's one. The other thing that we've added as a feature is that if you make it your private setting, you can actually determine how you are added to a group, if at all. So someone can send you a link and then you can join a group, So, and before you join a group, you are given a lot more information on what that group is about. The third thing on WhatsApp is one of the things that we actually try and moderate isn't what is shared, because it's an end-to-end encrypted platform. It's the behaviors of individuals. So we are mostly concerned about someone who's sharing one-to-many. Ordinarily, I want to chat with Lilian. But if I'm sending the same thing to Lilian and to 50 other groups, then it might be that I'm trying to tell people that crypto is the way to go. Click on this link and you'll become very rich. And that is probably fraud or scam. So it's the behavior that we tend, and especially the one-to-many kind of behavior, that we tend to be most concerned about. On manipulation, it's a legitimate concern, and this used to be done, especially during election times. You might remember 2017, and it's something that we've grown up, we've done much better at. So, for example, during election times, and now actually at any particular moment in time, in any particular country, if you are running any social or political advertisements, two things have to be true. One, you need to be in that particular country's location where you want to run those ads in. So an outside the country run ads that are social or political in Tanzania. The second bit is that those ads are saved in a library for 7 years. So you will know who ran ads in Tanzania that are social or political in the past election. You can go to a library and you can say who ran ads for who, and in support of what particular causes, what the ads were about. So you are giving a lot more information so that we can avoid exactly that, which is manipulation. And when manipulation is detected, whether it's by government or non-state actors, whether they are local or international, they are not only just removed, so the network is removed, but we also report that. And this has happened even in our region, pertaining to some countries. So one country was trying to manipulate, consumers or users in another country within our region, and those were detected, the network was removed, and that was reported. So in our transparency, so some of you that have seen our transparency reports, they come out every quarter. We usually report on that. And that is exactly that, to avoid manipulation. And manipulation can be sometimes by government or by non-state actors. I know we are pressed with time, so I'll probably pause here to get a round of questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Desmond. So we have talked a lot of things here, so I think it's going to be very nice to hear from you. Like, if you have a question or you want to add on something which has been shared, you're welcome. Oh, yeah, so I see a lot of hands. Thank you
okay,
so much.
So you
this
have
is interesting.
You have about 7 hands that have come up. How many are we taking?
I think
We're not taking all of them.
We can take 5.
We can take 5.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see those hands again. So this is not a hand. I don't know what this is. Dear African. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can we take all 6? Yes, we can.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go for it.
Thank you so much. My name is Doris Marley, and I'm a tech entrepreneur and an innovator. And usually I say don't talk against anything against AI if you have not used it yet, because it's amazing. It has solved a lot of my problems. I don't speak French. We have deployed AI on our platform, so anybody can go there and they can type and ask whatever they want in whatever language at any time. It responds to them. I don't have to pick up my phone anymore. I just have to feed that platform a lot of information about us, and it responds on our behalf. But before that, I would have missed conversations all the time, and I was losing a lot of walk-in customers to the platform. So honestly, I truly am thankful for AI. But at the same time, taking it to the lower level, my daughter, she's 17, she's pursuing actuarial science, and she uses AI like crazy. I'm not even close to what she does. And she has gone to a point that she knows there's AI checkers, even in classes. So she customizes that, personalize the reports or the outputs, and she comes up with best solutions. And I use her in my projects. She does pitch decks for me. It's amazing at 17 what she can do. She was even asked to do a simple, just a summary of an Instagram post. And she was busy online doing something else. She just put a prompt on Gemini, and something came out. And I said, no, you have to personalize that. You cannot respond like that. And she twitched it a bit, and it came out wonderfully for our school to go into the Instagram post. So it's something that, honestly, we are using it at personal level, home budget, personalizing or customizing a sales playbook for different countries. For instance, when you want to go into a certain market and you put that in AI, it will tell you exactly how to customize your customer, how to profile your customer, the information that you will pay lots of thousands of dollars to do that. So it's easier. It's something that we should adapt to. I don't see why people fear AI.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think that was to add to what has been discussed here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks very much. I'm not going to, maybe I'll get time to do my remarks, but I'm just going to have a question to you. This topic is very important to us. I'm from government. I don't know how many the government. I'm sorry, my question can be primitive. But as a chemical engineer, let me just ask a question that to see your understanding. There is this you call protecting information integrity in the age of AI. Just a question. What is a tech company? I just want to hear from your mouth, what is a tech company? And what is technology? Give my data on this information issue. We are faced with a very challenging information in the country as a government. So if I hear what is technology and what is a tech company, I'll be very happy from you.
Thank you very much.
I just got to check on ChatGPT.
Yeah, so are we taking the questions so we can? Yeah, I think that's very nice.
Well, before you were speaking is CEO Lonix Delog, Manuel Ikapi. I have a question for the Public Relations Officer Meta. Why is our integration are not familiar? Still not aware to the users. For instance, about the Tigo Rafiki service. And I can say in a simple way, I'm just a competitor from Meta company, owning a social network app. It's called Chatika. So I want to hear from you just about marketing strategies about that service of Tigo Rafiki. And also I insisted in the event planner, Sarah, including the MNO from Vodacom. Unfortunately, is out of my sight. And the public speaker there said about M-Pesa. I think that is your strategies on coming years. Is that so? So you may provide for me those marketing strategies about that service, how all metrics, numbers, many of users just has been given a number of mobile subscribers who are using such service in realistic.
So basically, their plan to raise awareness about integration of products like Tigo Rafiki or features like Tigo Rafiki or Meta.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. Asante sana. We had I think 3 final hands. Right.
Thank you very much. Mine is just very simple. We have spoken about cons and pros of AI, but my emphasis is to, whenever you're communicating about this, should be communicated as a tool. I think one of you really emphasized that this is enhance our knowledge, enhance our skills. Should be adopted, as you said, but should be communicated. This is a tool like any other tools that exist in the technology space.
Wonderful.
Thank
you so much. We've got a hand back there. Nice.
Yeah, so AI is data-driven and data-hungry. My first question is, given that as a country, almost all the AI tools that we use are hosted somewhere else, owned by someone else, are we not putting ourselves into another kind of colonialism, especially that has to deal with our minds? That's one. And second is, how do we curb, because of that, the aspect, how do we curb the issue of, because if someone is owning the tool, means they own for their own agenda, now they'll be biased based on their agenda. So how do we curb the bias on that?
Final question?
Yeah. My name is Isaac Odero. I am a co-founder of Niajiri. So, as we know, Tanzania is a democratic country, and one of important feature for democracy is free speech. And also, we know that these AI systems, they have to be regulated somehow to prevent harmful to the society. So my question is, where do we draw that boundary between free speech and the censorship to prevent harmful?
All right.
Thank you so much for the questions. So I think we have these two questions, which I think, Desmond, you just respond to them. The first one is about the integration issues and others, but also this one about free speech and censorship. Where do we draw the line between them? And for the question of what is technology, I don't know who's going to take that. Yeah, you take that. But also we have another question, like we know AI is data driven, and yeah, so you're welcome. I don't know who's going to start. Yeah.
I want to respond to your question, but before that, just briefly, Paul just asked about ownership, and I think this is a very important discussion to have. If you can generate source codes real quick, why not generate source codes that can build AIs? Yeah, we should also think about that, like we should own these tools. Again, it's a tool. So yeah, we can modify it, play it how we want it. Yes, regarding the question of technology, actually this is how I define Tunzaa to anybody who joins for the first time. I make sure they understand the distinction that Tunzaa is a technology company. And what is a technology company? It's basically we are figuring out solutions to different problems. And so when people are talking about technology, they tend to make it sound like, you know, super sci-fi, like out of this world. But you know, like think about farming before inventing a hoe. That's technology right there. And so understanding this, really, it's all about using like different tools, putting together tools, and finding solutions to different problems. And that's how I would define it, a technology company.
Thank you so much. So I think we have your final remarks, right? Yeah. And also, Milo, I think you can give us your final remarks as we answer, then we're going to be closing. Yeah.
Final remarks are always scary because that's what you'll take home. What I wanted to say is that these technologies come and go like tools, yeah? You talked about Y2K. For a second, I thought you were talking about the song Y2K Manjonjo. But my remark is that own these tools. That's all I can tell you. Own them, like the 17-year-old that we just heard her story. Own them to the point that you can build them. Don't be afraid, and don't be the end users who are just, you know, receiving these. Like, own them. Because yes, if I build a tool, I definitely will come with my own agenda. But ownership, like really truly owning these tools, will allow us, as Tanzanians, as whoever you define yourself, to be able to take control of how we use these tools. And I think that's more important than simply like, you know, like consuming only. So that will be my final remark.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Amilo. Lilian, you're welcome.
So I think in the spirit of owning tools, we work with Sarufi chatbot. We have built our own AI CV builder. As I said, we could have plugged into any one of those that we've paid, but we actually decided to build our own CV builder because, again, we are with the intention of being able to own the data.
Yeah, and like to have that ownership of data.
Yeah, Sarufi chat. That's Sarufi right there. We're using their chatbot. That is, and yeah, just there's so many tools that they're doing, but we're using their chatbot. So again, it's supposed to be a collaborative, and we're supposed to know what others are doing. I'm like going to look for you right now, Esther, with that, is that Askari?
Askari,
you know?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we have to we have to start buying stuff, yani tujiongezee wenyewe, yani na nikija kwako nakuja kununua, sio kwamba nakuja for free, you know, at the end of the day. So those are the things, but we have to really own this data. We need to make sure that we go to the next level, na sio kana kwamba tunakopo consumers, but we also are creators, kwa sababu we have to build into this one. Jamani, AI ni machine learning, inahitaji data ni sisi, the right data. That's it.
Thank you. That was nice. Thank you so much, Lilian. So let's go to Desmond, then we're going to finish with Esther.
Okay, I think I'll start with the question on free speech and censorship. As I mentioned earlier, it really doesn't matter how the content was created. If it violates our policies, it will be removed. And so the event of AI doesn't necessarily change how we approach our integrity efforts. They remain the same. It's just that in addition to that, we will be watermarking content that has been generated through AI. The second question, I think there was a question around data colonialism or thereabouts and legitimate concerns. What I would say is that, and often even for the gentleman from government, is that we often are very quick to regulate because we perceive that the people that we want to regulate are Meta, not Sarufi. I actually want us to think of a regulatory environment that would allow Sarufi to become global, to go and expand to Middle East and other parts of the world. Think of regulation from that perspective and you'll land at a very different place. The other thing that I would say is that our models are open source. So we've taken away that investment cost for you so that then you can build on them. So that's to my friend, my competitor, that is building. As a Tanzanian, I wholeheartedly support your effort. Yeah. I want to see it grow, but I can't give trade secrets. That would be in violation of my contract. But to answer your question, we do support, and we can support with the integration of your chatbot with Meta platform. So that's something that we provide as support. We've provided it to different entities. You just have to be an entity. I think there's a question around tech company versus versus the technology. And I know my reading is that the inference is in how do you regulate. I actually think there is as much harm in regulating too soon as there is in regulating too late. So you need to figure out a sweet spot where it's a right time to actually try and regulate. And how you regulate, I think there's two schools of thoughts. I think one is industry standards. So you can bring tech players, Sarufi, Meta, JF and others, to come and develop standards as opposed to telling us what we can and cannot build. I think that idea of prescribing what can and cannot happen shouldn't be a path that Tanzania should take. And I think the last bit that I finish it, with, and that's from, I think, self-proclaimed AI mom. Really love what you had to say. I think the thing that we've spoken about here about education, I actually am of the opinion that if a child can succeed simply because they use AI and you think they should have failed, you need to also say that ethically. Then I think the issue is how we grade, how we test our education system. So our education system has to evolve, not necessarily that AI is to get it right, that this technology is here. It will help kids get things faster than they were able to do before, but that is not a bad thing. We have calculators, some of us 4 figures. We haven't gotten any Dharma, to be quite honest, and so AI is, I hope, AI is the same. And the last bit I would say is inclusion, AI and inclusion. So she spoke about language, but there's a lot of communities that would have been left behind if we weren't for AI. Meta, we have a project called, AI for Good, but in addition to that is no language left behind. So over 200 languages globally have been translated through the use of artificial intelligence. So that's something that wouldn't have been possible before. So now you can travel to France and interact with an Uber driver because you have artificial intelligence. So this is a technology that's here. It allows us to include communities that weren't included before. It allows us to work much faster than we were able to before. It's affected greatly a number of sectors, including one that is really, really pertinent for Tanzania, tourism. And we really need to think about how to take advantage of it as we think about, how to reduce the harm that might come with it.
Thank you so much, Desmond. So, Esther, welcome for your final remarks.
If I had a better way to say this, Waswahili tunasema, for those Waswahili tunasema, ningekuwa naweza kupiga magoti, ningepiga magoti. I would like to call for collaboration in the ecosystem. Let us collaborate to build a stronger and safer community. We have seen so many people working individually. Kila mtu anafanya cha kwake, and then we go somewhere and fail. So I would like us to collaborate. Together, we can go far. So there's an English saying that if you want to move faster, go alone, but if you want to go far, work together, naomba to collaborate. Before, tulikuwa tunaona minara ya simu, kila mtu anaweka mnara wake. Airtel wao, Voda wao, Tigo wao. but then like, oh, this thing is very costly. Let's just use one Nara, and then we just put our devices on one Nara, so we collaborate. So if I am doing cyber, you have your solution, and then someone else has AI. So let's see, okay, how can we partner, collaborate, and work together in this space? Because believe me, no one is coming to save us. So we'd rather support each other and create a stronger ecosystem so that even people who are coming from outside, they find us united. We have great manpower. We have great skills and intelligence. You have seen the number of submissions that were submitted. So if we collaborate, we can make really great things and then produce employment for the next generations, and then we're going to create. So please, please let us collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. Yeah, so now we are going to have remarks from COSTECH representative, then we're going to cross this. Yeah. We are not, yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I appreciate your presence here, and thank you so much for all the insightful things you have shared. And thank you, Kyle. I think I'm handing over this to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. A hand of applause to our moderator in this panel. Let's stand right at the front of the stage for our group photo. Group photo at the front of the stage. Group photo at the front of the stage. Before you come down, our moderator, Zephania Reuben, machine intelligence specialist. Mwenyewe ameendesha mazungumzo kitaalam kabisa. Are they, move a little bit to your left, please? Is that okay? Perfect. Again, once again, to everybody who's joined us online, I'm going to encourage you once more to engage.